3 tips on how to negotiate a salary offer. What should be the decision consideration? How should you be making the decisions? Watch this video to make the best salary deal of your life. 60% of employees are dissatisfied with the pay, as the data says. Why is this so? Especially when people are changing jobs so frequently in 2 to 3 years, why still people are dissatisfied with pay? Now there are various reasons, but one of the fundamental reasons is they don't negotiate their salary very well, and only once they join they feel that the salary that they're getting is not up to the mark. So why does this happen? Why do they not negotiate well? And there are 2 reasons for that. One is reactive transition. People change jobs not thought through properly. They change because they don't like the boss in their organization, they don't like the peers, they don't like the work or the workplace. All of these are important reasons of changing job, but that doesn't deter you from making a strategic transition, not only in terms of learning and seniority, but most importantly also from the perspective of getting a good salary. The second reason is mental models. I feel people are subconsciously insecure. They may say that they peg them high, but when push comes to shove and there's a pressure, they kind of calibrate and they're fine with a slightly lower salary, which later they regret. And third is recruiters are very skilled in underselling jobs to you, to employees, to candidates, and hence you kind of suffer. Now, how should you be making that transition? How should you plan a salary discussion so that you don't make these mistakes? Now for that we'll consider 2 factors. One is of course your existing salary, which will help you decide your negotiation strategy. But the second is company priority, which has 3 elements. Number 1 is what is the level of urgency to fill up that position for which you are being hired or getting interviewed. Second is what is the availability of the talent. Is it high, demand, supply, is it low, etc. And third is what is the benchmarking, the firm benchmarking for the firm. Now benchmarking is basically every organization benchmarks them in the market in terms of the top quartile with respect to the pay scales, and there are databases they can use from organizations like Mercer and Hewitt to kind of know what are the pay ranges, and accordingly they suit somewhere depending on what kind of talent they want. So for instance, a position of associate would have a pay range from minimum to max. Let's say minimum 50,000, maximum 70,000. So everyone in that organization will tend to fit into that, the min and max range for that position. And why they do it? They do it for 2 reasons. One is internal parity, and second is right market positioning, so that they're able to attract the right talent. Now, combination of these 3 elements, urgency to fill, availability, and compensation benchmarking, I'm clubbing them to call it parameter of company profile. And I'm going to analyze this. Before I go further, one qualifier, I'm looking at it purely from the perspective of salary. I'm not considering that there are other important factors of learning and seniority which you should consider for making a job change. So but I'm kind of focusing only on salary here. So this is what we get. This matrix where x-axis is existing salary, y-axis is company profile, will help us to come up with a negotiation strategy. If you're in quadrant 1 where your salary is less and the company you are getting interviewed is also not a big paymaster, is not urgently filling up the position, so on and so forth, difficult to crack a killer deal, right? So you have to be fine with that. And how do you find out whether it is being benchmarked higher? See, there's no way you can find that except through Glassdoor, reviews, through discussions with your friends, find out people from that organization in LinkedIn, make friends, and then have a discussion. How, not detailed terms, but how generous they are in terms of pay. You will get a sense whether it's a big paymaster. Similarly, in terms of urgency, you will see they're setting up the meetings in quite succession, offer being rolled out very soon. Doesn't seem normal, which means they are really wanting to fill up the position fast. So these things are going to give you a inkling, even availability. Certain sectors there's a crunch for talent, and you can find that out empirically. And so those sectors like data science, AI, you should attach a premium to yourself. Now this is what you have. Now in quadrant 1, as I said, not much possible. Quadrant 2, you have high salary, but the company cannot really pay you, or is not an urgency to pay you. In those cases, what you can do is kind of make sure, assuming that you really want to join that company, you should make sure the salary that you get is hovering around the max for the position that you're getting hired. And how to do that is ask for something very high, and through discussions remain a bit fungible, flexible, and to kind of bring it down, you will get a sense that what is that point where the recruiter will take you and which will not be too much of a compromise for you, and that is what you should hit. Quadrant 3 is best. You have high salary and the company also pay high. Leverage that. It is a rare situation, but if you encounter such a situation, ask something very high. There is a very high likelihood that you will crack it. Quadrant 4 becomes very dicey because here your salary is less and the company can pay more. The question is, the recruiter is going to actually kind of mind wash you to fix you at a pay point which is on the minimum side of the pay range, and your job is to force it up on the maximum side or midpoint. Now I know obviously the question is, how can you do that? And how to do that is, there are 3 steps to that, or 3 ways to do that. Number 1, have a threshold in your mind and then set your expectation to the recruiter at a 15% premium to your threshold so that you keep some space for negotiation. And make sure your benchmark should be minimum 25%. And I can justify why it should be upward of 25% hike that you should ask from the recruiters is simply because 3 things. 1, remember the job hunt cycle is quite long, 8 to 9 months. So by the time you're joining the organization, you are very close to the second performance cycle in your previous organization. So you are missing on one increment that would have happened just a couple of months after you join your new organization. In terms of, in your past organization, you are also losing your variable pay for that performance year, even if pro rata, from the previous organization. So you have to compensate both of them, which means you have to keep a buffer. So 25%, my suggestion is minimum. The other thing is, remember to focus on the growth in absolute terms for take home. Don't look at the CTC because it may sound in absolute terms much more, but in reality it would be less after the tax reductions. Now, this was point 1, what we were discussing about how you can make this transition and smartly negotiate. The second point is, be on the search always. Remember, this is a game of psychological pressure, and for you to avoid being insecure for any and every role that lands on you, you have to be more open to exploring. Be a passive. I'm not saying you have to change, but be on the lookout. If you get something brilliant and if you're ongoingly looking looking for jobs, you will make sure that you don't get insecure if the recruiter says that you have 2 days to reply, otherwise this job will go to another candidate. Those pressures doesn't work. And never get back to them, never show your desperation, never follow up, because that shows that you are kind of budging. So remain firm, calm, humble, but at the same time stick to your point of what you think is the right level and be on the search. It's okay, take that much risk, be that much bold to leave opportunities. The third one I would say is manage recruiters, right? They're experts in that, and it's only fair because that's their job to kind of sell the job to you at a lower value. But what you should do, you should counteract 3 arguments from them. Number 1, they will always say that what you're asking is very high. Industry benchmarks is not that high in terms of growth. You should not cater to that. Remember, there is no such industry benchmark. They are almost faffing around. So for you should simply say that this is what you think is a fair value of the effort and commitment that you are really looking forward to give. Show that, and stick around it. They may say that you are asking something which is beyond the pay range for that given role. Again, I'm saying this may be largely, most cases it is incorrect. They have a lot of buffers, they have exception approvals, and if nothing works, then ask for 2 months joining bonus. If you're senior, ask for ESOPs, employee stock options, so that you are compensated if the money they are giving you or what you're asking is beyond the pay range. The other thing you should always keep in mind is CTC. Never compare salary offers based on CTC. Look at it from a take-home perspective, because there are enough number of intelligent people who will inflate your CTC by considering the highest point of variable into your CTC, which you will of course technically can get, but that is when you get a highest rating. But why should you make that assumption and then inflate the CTC? So remember, your focus, your reference point should not be CTC to make decisions. For salary decision, you should look at take home. So that's it for today. 3 key takeaways. Number 1, plan a threshold which takes care of the loss of variable pay, which takes care of the loss of increments, and kind of gives you a figure, a growth which you're satisfied with. Number 2, make sure you are bold, not insecure about losing the offer. Be continuously on the search, be a passive candidate. And number 3, don't pander to the story that the recruiter is trying to sell you. That's it for today. Thank you very much. Please share your comments and feedback, and do subscribe to the channel so that you get my new videos. Take care and stay focused.